Chapter 4 of Book 1 of Posterior Analytics by Aristotle, translated by Octavius Owen. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Jeffrey Edwards. Chapter 4 Upon the terms, quote, of every, close quote, per se, close quote, and quotes universal. Since it is impossible that a thing, of which there is simply science, should have a various subsistence, it will be also necessary that what we know should pertain to demonstrative science, and demonstrative science is that which we possess from possessing demonstration. Hence a syllogism is a demonstration from necessary propositions. We must comprehend then of what, and what kind of propositions, demonstrations consist. But first let us define what we mean by quote, of every, close quote, and quote, per se, close quote, and quotes universal. I call that quote, of every, close quote, which is not in a certain thing, and in another certain thing is not, nor which is at one time, and not at another, as if animal is predicated of every man. If it is truly said that this is a man, it is true also that he is an animal, and if now the one is true, so also is the other, and in like manner, if a point is in every line. Here is a proof, for when we are questioned, as it were, of every, we thus object, either if a thing is not present with a certain individual, or if it is not sometimes. But I call those quote, per se, close quote, which are inherent in the definition of what a thing is, as line is in triangle, and point in line, for the essence of them is from these, and they are in the definition explaining what it is. Also those things which are inherent in their attributes in the definition declaring what a thing is, as the straight and the curved are inherent in a line, and the odd and even in number, and the primary and composite, the equilateral and the oblong, and they are inherent in all these, in the definition declaring what a thing is, there indeed line, but here number. In a similar manner in other things, I say that such are per se inherent in each, but what are in neither way inherent I call accidents, as the being musical, or white in an animal. Moreover, that which is not predicated of any other subject, as that which walks being something else, is that which walks, and is white, but essence, and whatever things signify this particular thing, not being anything else, are that which they are. Now those which are not predicated of a subject, I call quote, per se, close quote, but those which are so predicated, I call accidents. Again, after another manner, that which on account of itself is present with each thing is quote, per se, close quote, but that which is not on account of itself is an accident. Thus it is an accident if while anybody was walking it should lighten, for it did not lighten on account of his walking, but we say that it accidentally happened. If, however, a thing is present on account of itself, it is per se, as if any one having his throat cut should die, and through the wound, because he will die in consequence of his throat being cut. But it did not accidentally happen that he whose throat was cut died. Those therefore which are predicated in things which are simply objects of science per se, so as to be inherent in the things predicated, or which are themselves inherent in subjects, are on account of themselves, and from necessity, for it does not happen that they are not inherent, either simply or as opposites, as the straight and the curved in a line, and the even or odd in number. For a contrary is either privation or contradiction in the same genus, as that is even which is not odd in numbers, so far as it follows. Hence, if it is requisite to affirm or deny, it is also necessary that those which are per se should be inherent. Let then the expressions "of every" and "per se" be thus defined. I call that universal, however, which is both predicated "of every" and "per se", and so far as the thing is. Now it is evident that whatever are universal are inherent in things necessarily, but the expressions "per se", and so far as it is, are the same, as a point and straightness are per se present in a line, for they are in it, in as far as it is a line, and two right angles in a triangle, so far as it is a triangle, for a triangle is per se equal to two right angles, but universal is then present when it is demonstrated of any casual and primary thing, as to possess two right angles is not universally inherent in figure, yet it is possible to demonstrate of a figure that it has two right angles, but not of any casual figure, nor does a demonstrator use any casual figure, for a square is indeed a figure, yet it has not angles equal to two right. But any isosceles has angles equal to two right, yet not primarily, for triangle is prior. Whatever therefore is casually first demonstrated to possess two right angles, or anything else, in this first is the universal inherent, and the demonstration per se of this is universal, but of other things, after a certain manner, not per se. Neither is it universally present in an isosceles, but extends farther. Chapter 5. Of errors about the primary universal. We ought not to be ignorant that frequently error arises, and that what is demonstrated is not primarily universal, insofar as the primarily universal appears to be demonstrated. Now we are deceived by this mistake, when either nothing higher can be assumed except the singular or singulars, or when something else can be assumed, but it wants a name in things differing in species, or when it happens to be as a whole in a part, of which the demonstration is made, for demonstration will happen to particulars, and will be of every individual, yet nevertheless it will not be the demonstration of this first universal. Still I say the demonstration of this first, so far as it is this, when it is of the first universal. If then any one should show that right lines do not meet, it may appear to be a proper demonstration of this, because it is in all right lines, yet this is not so, since this does not arise from the lines being thus equal, but so far as they are in some way or other equal. Also, if a triangle should be no other than isosceles, so far as isosceles it may appear to be inherent. Alternate proportion also, so far as regards numbers and lines, and solids and times, as was once shown separately, it is possible at least to be demonstrated of all by one demonstration, but inasmuch as all these, numbers, length, time, are not one denominated thing, and differ from each other in species, they were assumed separately. but now the demonstration is universal, for it is not in so far as they are lines or numbers that it is inherent, but in so far as this thing which they suppose to be universally inherent. For this reason, neither if one should demonstrate each several triangle by one or another demonstration, that each has two right angles, equilateral, the scalene and the isosceles separately, would he yet know that the triangle itself has angles equal to two right, except in a sophistical manner, nor triangle universally, though there should be no other triangle besides the all, he knows, but if there is not the same, but different, and it is inherent, so far as it is triangle, he does not know. Whether, however, is it inherent, so far as it is triangle, or so far as being taken away, it is inherent in the primary. Thus, two right angles will be inherent in a brazen isosceles triangle, when the being brazen and the being isosceles are taken away, but not if the figure or boundary is taken away, nor if the primary are. But what primary? If indeed triangle is taken away, according to this it is inherent in others, and of this universally is the demonstration. Chapter 6. Demonstration consists of principles per se, and of a necessary medium. If then demonstrative science is from necessary principles, for what is scientifically known cannot subsist otherwise, and those which are per se inherent are necessarily so in things, for some are inherent in the definition of what a thing is, but others are they in the very nature of which the subjects are inherent, of which they are so predicated, that one of opposites is necessarily present, it is evident that the demonstrative syllogism will consist of certain things of this kind, for everything is either thus inherent, or according to accident, but accidents are not necessary. Either therefore we must say this, or the demonstration is a necessary thing, if we lay down this principle, and that if demonstration is given, that a thing cannot subsist otherwise, wherefore the syllogism must be from necessary matter. For it is possible, without demonstration, to syllogize from what are true, but we cannot do so from things necessary, except by demonstration, for this is now the essence of demonstration. An indication also that demonstration is from things necessary is, that we thus object to those who think they demonstrate that the conclusion is not necessary, whether we think that the matter may altogether be otherwise possible, or on account of the argument. Hence too the folly of those appears, who think they assume principles rightly, if the proposition be probable and true, as the sophists assume that to know is to possess knowledge, for it is not the probable or improbable which is the principle, but that which is primary of the genus about which the demonstration is made, nor is everything true appropriate, but that it is necessary that the syllogism should consist of necessary things appears also from these, for if he who cannot assign a reason why a thing is, when there is a demonstration, does not possess knowledge, let A be necessarily predicated of C, but B the medium through which it is demonstrated, not of necessity. In this case he does not know the cause, for this is not on account of the medium, for the latter may not exist, yet the conclusion is necessary. Besides, if someone does not know, though he now possesses a reason, and is safe, the thing also being preserved, he, not having forgotten it, neither did he before know it. But the medium may perish, if it is not necessary, so that he, being safe, will have a reason, the thing being preserved, and yet not know it, wherefore neither did he know it before. but if the medium is not destroyed, yet may possibly perish, that which happens will be possible and contingent. It is impossible, however, that one so circumstanced should know. When therefore the conclusion is from necessity, there is nothing to prevent the medium, through which the demonstration was made, from being not necessary, since it is possible to syllogize the necessary even from things not necessary, just as we may the true from things not true. Still, when the medium is from necessity, the conclusion is also from necessity, as the true results from the true always. For let A be of necessity predicated of B, and this of C, then it is necessary that A should be with C. But when the conclusion is not necessary, neither possibly can the medium be necessary. For let A be present with C, not of necessity, but let it be with B, and this with C of necessity. A then will also be of necessity present with C, yet it was not supposed so. Since therefore what one knows demonstratively must be inherent of necessity, we must evidently obtain the demonstration through a necessary medium also, for otherwise he will neither know why a thing exists, nor that it is necessary for it to exist, but he will either imagine not knowing, if he assumes what is not necessary as if it were necessary, or in like manner he will not imagine if he knows that it is through media, and why it is through the immediate. Of accidents, however, which are not per se, after the manner in which things per se have been defined, there is no demonstrative science, since it is not possible to demonstrate the conclusion of necessity, because accident may possibly not be present, for I speak of accident of this kind. Still, some one may perhaps doubt why we must make such investigations about these things, if it is not necessary that the conclusion should be, for it makes no difference if any one interrogating casual things should afterwards give the conclusion. Nevertheless, we must interrogate, not as if the conclusion were necessary on account of things interrogated, but because it is necessary for him who asserts these should assert this, and that he should speak truly, if the things are truly inherent. Since, however, whatever are inherent per se, are necessarily inherent in every genus, and so far as each is, it is clear that scientific demonstrations are of things per se, inherent, and consist of such as these, for accidents are not necessary, wherefore it is not necessary to know the conclusion why it is, nor if it always is, but not per se, as for instance, syllogisms formed from signs. For what is per se, will not be known per se, nor why it is, and to know why a thing is to know through cause, wherefore the middle must per se be inherent in the third, and the first in the middle. Chapter 7. That we may not demonstrate by passing from one genus to another. It is not therefore possible to demonstrate passing from one genus to another, as for instance to demonstrate a geometrical problem by arithmetic, for there are three things in demonstrations: one, the demonstrated conclusion, and this is that which is per se inherent in a certain genus; another are axioms, but axioms are they from which demonstration is made; the third is the subject genus, whose properties and essential accidents demonstration makes manifest. Now it is possible that the things from which demonstration consists may be the same, but with those whose genus is different, as arithmetic and geometry, we cannot adapt an arithmetical demonstration to the accidents of magnitudes, except magnitudes are numbers, and how this is possible to some shall be told hereafter. But arithmetical demonstration always has the genus about which the demonstration is conversant, and others in like manner, so that it is either simply necessary that there should be the same genus, or in a certain respect, if demonstration is about to be transferred, but that it is otherwise impossible is evident, for the extremes and the middles must necessarily be of the same genus, since if they are not per se, they will be accidents. On this account, we cannot by geometry demonstrate that there is one science of contraries, nor that two cubes make one cube, neither can any science demonstrate what belongs to any science, but such as are so related to each other as to be the one under the other, for instance, optics to geometry, and harmonics to arithmetic. Nor if anything is inherent in lines, not so far as they are lines, nor as they are from proper principles, as if a straight line is the most beautiful of lines, or if it is contrary to circumference, for these things are inherent, not by reason of their proper genus, but in so far as they have something common. Chapter 8. Things which are subject to change are incapable of demonstration per se. It is also evident that if the propositions of which a syllogism consists are universal, the conclusion of such a demonstration, and in short of the demonstration of itself, must necessarily be perpetual. There is not then either demonstration, nor in short science of corruptible natures, but so as by accident, because there is not universal belonging to it, but sometimes, and after a certain manner. But when there is such, it is necessary that one proposition should not be universal, and that it should be corruptible. Corruptible indeed, because the conclusion will be so if the proposition is so, and not universal, because one of those things of which it is predicated will be, and another will not be, hence it is not possible to conclude universally, but that it is now. It is the same in the case of definitions, since definition is either the principle of demonstration, or demonstration differing in the position of the terms, or a certain conclusion of demonstration. The demonstrations and sciences, however, of things frequently occurrent, as of the eclipse of the moon, evidently always exist, so far as they are such, but so far as they are not always, they are particular, and as in an eclipse, so also is it in other things. End of chapter 8 of book 1. Recording in memory of Mitchell Edwards.